Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I finally got a copy on DVD of Scream, which is really Scream 5, the brand new Scream movie. Even on the sticker on the packaging, it said all new movie, because they realized calling it the same exact title of the original movie, which is part of the storyline here, and kind of the theme of this movie in some aspects. It's supposed to be a play on that, which is stupid, because then we got a green light for another movie after this one, and number one, I don't know what they're going to do that could be any different, judging by my experience with this one, but also, what are you going to call that one? Scream the Revenge? What are you going to do with that? Anyway, this is a brand new movie. This is the new one that came out this year. Finally hit DVD. I missed it in theaters. I wanted to see it because I only saw Scream 4 in theaters. I was too young to see 1, 2, and 3 at the time of their release, but I recently reviewed each of the movies here on my channel, recently in the last couple of months, something like that. Around the time the release of this movie happened, I reviewed the 3-pack I have here. Of course, the original Scream is my personal favorite. I think it's most people's favorite, if not everybody's favorite for that matter. I get 2 and 3. Personally, I do think 3 is a little bit better than 2. I don't think it's a good movie by any means. It's just watchable. Not really decent or fun or anything, just watchable. And then we have Scream 4, which I think is the best of the sequels. But that was until I saw this new one. First off, I have some thoughts, and it's going to be a lengthier review, probably a more in-depth review, a more thoughtful review than what I typically give for my movie reviews, because I try to be pretty, I guess, quick. I don't really know what to call it, but I try to generalize things typically and get them out of the way and summarize my thoughts on certain areas of a movie. But I have a little bit of thought to this, so it might be a longer review. I was kind of feeling like this movie was going to suck. And I'm going to tell you honestly, compared to 2, 3, and 4, when I went into this one, it started off on such a great note, and it started on a little bit of a different type of storyline. And most of this movie is different. I'm with it for the first 2/3 of the movie. I really am. I'm really with it for the first 2/3 of the movie, really enjoying it, really rooting for certain characters. There's a little bit of change up here and there that I do want to talk about. I do recommend seeing the film before you see this review. Even this is a spoiler-free review, I do recommend you see the movie first, just because some of the things I have to talk about to explain my thoughts on this movie were things I went into this movie, even after all the reviews I listened to, knowing nothing about. No one talked about certain aspects that I think are kind of important here. For example, each of these movies, including its sequels, have had a tie to Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, as our kind of legacy characters, as they're typically referred to in society and in this movie. They are the cast of the original film that have made it all the way to this point, and they're kind of the focus. So, usually they are the focus of the movie, and that's not the case in this one. We start off the film with the typical opening of a Scream movie, where somebody gets a call in their kitchen or whatever, and they get attacked. In this case, the young girl that gets attacked survives, which is different and odd, and I don't know how or why she would have survived in that situation, because she got the shit kicked out of her. I mean, just beaten, brutalized. I would say this is probably the goriest Scream film compared to the first movie. It kind of surprised me. Then it kind of gets weaker later on with that. There's less gore, at least in a more exciting way, the way I want. The Scream movies are not notorious, for their gore or their kills or anything like that. I don't really necessarily think they're all memorable outside of the first movie. This is a series defined on a whodunit premise. We're having a mystery whodunit type of storyline, and a lot of people went into this movie, like myself, with a fan theory, hoping that a particular fan theory would really resound and be the truth here, and be what happens with this movie. And I gotta tell you, by the time I got to that third act, just with a particular reveal, it was such a letdown. I was very disappointed in the finale of this movie. It's not that satisfying. It might be to a person who's a casual slasher fan, but for me, it just it doesn't really offer all that much. The writing throughout the film is okay. I particularly like what happened with the girl who survived the attack in the beginning of the movie, because it turns out our main character is going to be this girl, and really even more importantly so, her older sister. And they have kind of a past, particularly the older sister that's our main character, has a past that I just became hooked on. I completely got hooked on. I really enjoyed that. And by the way, this film takes place in Woodsboro, just like how Scream 4 did. It doesn't do the Scream 2 and 3 premise of taking off to some other area like college or Hollywood. We don't need all that. It doesn't work. 4 brought back the idea of being a small-town slasher movie like the original movie, and it really worked, and I think this maintains that too, of being a small-town slasher film, and it works really well because of that. The ties with the previous films, whether it be the original or the sequels, it's so well done. It's so well executed because we have characters that I did not expect to see in this movie. I heard no one talking about these people, and I was surprised to see these people pop up in this movie. There's quite a few of them. I think you'll be really impressed if you watch this movie and you happen to be a Scream fan of any sort, even of just the original movie. I think you'll enjoy seeing some of these comebacks. One of the particular characters in this film is just shocking. I was very surprised to see her. But I had a good time. I want you to know, even if I seem disappointed in this review, I had a good time with this movie. It was a mostly fun film. I enjoyed it. It wasn't woke for the most part. There might be a couple of aspects some people consider woke. I kind of don't, But it wasn't like that. It actually didn't ruin itself with those dumb politics. I mean, it actually tried to pull something great together. It tried. And then the third act fell apart. Just because I once again, like every Scream sequel, after you have 2, 3, and 4, now this one, every single one, I think the motive is bad. I really do, and I hate that about that. I really wanted to love this movie. I went into it really hoping I could. I was looking forward to this for like a week now, trying to find a copy on DVD. Walmart had nothing. And again, the brutal kills, when we had those, they were great. Some of the best in the whole Scream franchise. And by the way, this is the first not directed by Wes Craven, because sadly he passed away years ago. And when he died, of course, Wes Craven, not Wes Craven, but the rights to Scream were in the hands of, like, what was her name? Queen Latifah, I think, is who owned the rights there for a little while. I'm pretty certain I remember reading that back in the day. Now, let me also state this too. I've said my reviews for the original movies, or the sequels and whatever. I'm a massive fan of the MTV series. I have the first season on DVD. 2 and 3 were never released. I have never watched season 3 because that's what they just completely ruined. From what I understand, it went woke, sadly. But seasons 1 and 2, I love of that show. That is up there with the first movie that I consider some of the best Scream stuff ever made. I know it's not focused on Sidney Prescott. I know it's not focused on anything. It does what this movie tried to do. And I love it for that. I love the TV series so much. Some of my favorite stuff ever. Some of the best freaking kills in the entire franchise. And mind you, we had a different mask and everything, a different design for it, a different urban legend surrounding that. And we went back. This is the first time in like 10 or 12 years that we've had the original mask for Ghostface in the movies, or that we've had a movie at all since the TV series happened. If you haven't seen that TV series, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's better than this movie. It's better than all of the sequels, and in a lot of ways you could compare it to the original movie and say it's possibly even better than that. I love it so much, man. I cannot believe people didn't like it. It's not like a 20-episode long season either. It's like 10 episodes or 8 or something like that. But in my personal opinion, this movie does not hold the water that it was trying. I don't know what I was trying to say with that. It tries really hard to be great, and it falls apart in that final act, as I've said, and it just sucks a little bit. I'm kind of bummed about that. But I will say this. This seems like a lot more of a disappointing review compared to my previous sequel reviews, because I had so much hype for this. I'd heard the fan theories. I had really hoped that one fan theory that you may or may not know was going to be true, but it wasn't. We got some things that were kind of cool that I was very surprised to see in this movie. But a lot of it is kind of a letdown. I will say there's a lot of fake outs. There's a lot of stuff in the sense of, like, I think they're going to set up to kill somebody this way, and they completely switch the board on you and do something else, and I really was impressed with that. That was actually very cleverly done. I'm hoping that number 6, the next Scream film that's already been greenlit, mind you, it's supposed to be made soon, in the next couple of years, I'm hoping that they can fix the problems we have here. I'm hoping they can improve on the things that people clearly want as the fans, instead of trying to do what we did here in the finale. This is the biggest issue I have with the Scream sequels. They all feel like the same movie, just different locations. But this one is so similar to Scream 4 that it's different. The biggest advantage this movie has is that Sidney and Gale and Dewey are not the main characters in this movie. They're all side characters. They're complete side characters. The whole focus on this main girl and her sister are really great. I like the emotional ties there. I like how the boyfriend that the main girl works with at like a bowling alley or something, he's coming to help with her, trying to help her sister after the sister got attacked in the beginning of the movie. It's fun. Ghostface is very threatening in this film. The kills, again, are just really solid most of the time. It doesn't offer everything I want it to have. You know, it's kind of a shame, frankly. I really wanted more, and it doesn't pull it off, man. And I'm really bummed about that. I really enjoyed most of this movie, and it's sad because a whodunit movie needs to be a good movie entirely, right? Because the twist can kind of fake it, or that can kind of make it, but kind of ruin it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, but the overall movie, once you know who a killer is, it's like you have to have a good movie behind that. That's what makes the original film such a classic, and this one is not because of the issues we're having here. But overall, that's my very scattered-brained thoughts on the new Scream movie from 2022. Do I think it's the best of the sequels at this current point? Yeah, I do, frankly. I'm kind of surprised, but I do. Scream 2 is very weak, Scream 3 is weak, Scream 4 is weak, but it's better than those two. This one, to me, is better than Scream 4 so far. I do think, like, I wish we had, like, Kirby from Scream 4 in this movie. That would have been great. That would have made the movie even better, frankly. But, is it lackluster? Absolutely. Is it my favorite? Absolutely not. It's the best of the sequels, but that's not saying much about this movie or those. They're all kind of bad. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the new Scream movie? Did you see it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts? Put them down below. And I am going to do a ranking video immediately after I finish this video to rank all the Scream movies. I will not include the TV series in that ranking, but I will give it another mention like I always do in these reviews because it's a classic and it's wonderful. And I cannot believe fans rejected that series. It proves the point they didn't even try. That no one even tried to watch that, I think. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the Scream? I want to say Scream 5, but I'm just going to go ahead and call it that. What do you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Put your thoughts and comments down below once again. If I had to rate the movie on a 5-star basis, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't even remember what I rated the other movies, but I'd give this like a 3 out of 5 stars. I do like it. It's just, it's not what it should have been. It's not what it should have been. This should have been a different Scream movie. It should have been a different Scream movie that... It should have been more fan service than the typical Scream thing of trying to be a horror community-focused type of thing. It tries its best to do that. There's a lot of shade thrown at a lot of movies that I love. For example, the Child's Play remake. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and they trash that movie in this movie. They have the gall to do that. That's a better movie than this movie, hands down, easily. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Thank you for watching. God bless you once again, and goodbye.